Good evening and welcome to We're Not Really Here. Newcastle are today's opponents, with City welcome them to the Etihad. And with just a few points more needed to guarantee a top four finish, tonight means changes. Tonight means we can get 3 points closer to that all-important Champions League qualification. So great to be back with you. Hope you're all okay and the week has been a good one so far. My name is Spellman. Welcome to We're Not Really Here, the show that is all about bringing you as close to the football as you can possibly get. Delighted to say joining me in the studio this week, none other than Joleon Lescott. Joleon, all good?
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Always a pleasure. And of course, Mr. Carl Walker.
Good evening. How are we doing?
Very, very well. I'm glad to be reunited with you both. I'll be honest with you. It's
triple threat. Good rival Sergio.
That's true. I will say as well, I've had a haircut now as well, so just for you, Joleon, you wanted to bring it up.
It wasn't just for me. Let's not go there.
Every single opportunity you wanted to bring it up, and I thought, no, I've got to get it done. I've got to get the fade ready. So yeah, I've got that specially for tonight.
Very fresh. You can let us know on socials what you think of Kyle's new haircut. But he is the man that's going to be across that, and also the man that's got today's starting 11.
I have indeed. Right, let's get into it. Manchester City, they are taking on. Let's just unlock this, by the way. Taking on Newcastle. It's not obviously the first time we played them recently as well, and this is how Manchester City do set up for us this evening. So in net we have Ederson, and then your defence you've got Cancelo, Otamendi. John Stones is starting for us, as Pep said he would as well, plus Zinchenko. In defence, we've got Rodrigo, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, and then we've also got Mahrez, Phil Foden, and Gabriel Jesus. Your subs are Bravo, Walker, Sterling, Gundogan, Laporte, Bernardo Silva, Fernandinho, Tommy Doyle, and Eric Garcia. We can see the teams arriving there at the Etihad right now. It's going to be an interesting game, I think, obviously off the back of what happened at the weekend. I spoke about recently, I've been speaking about it all day today, really, about this Manchester City team. Time and time again, we've seen them bounce back. And Joleon, with that starting 11, yes, there are a few changes, 5 to be exact, but actually, they're a team that can come out here and going to score goals and going to want to win.
Yeah, definitely. Disappointing result on the weekend. Let's not kind of beat around the bush. But in terms of the performance, I still thought they were good. I still thought they created a number of chances to win the game. Obviously, Southampton players had top performances, and obviously the keeper was one of them. So in regards to the way Pep has kind of got these prepared for this game, I have no doubt that the application will be there. It'll be right, and the mindset will be right. And for me, I'm glad to see John Stones back in the starting lineup. I know he's been injured at the start of the restart, but in regards to what he can produce, I'm excited to see if he kind of now makes this place his own, and I know he's not playing with Laporte, but hopefully he continues to grow and they can deliver a partnership.
Well, that is one man I think we're all very much happy to see on the team sheet. We can hear what he had to say before today's game down on the Etihad pitch earlier.
John, how are you, first of all? Are you getting close? Are you ready? What's your personal situation now?
Yeah, all fit and well. Ready to go. I feel fit enough now to be able to play a game, which is good. I'm building up. I think I was on the bench against Newcastle maybe just over a week ago. I think it was just too soon, and then built up from there, really. So yeah, I feel really good in myself and excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And slightly strange restart for the team, home form versus away form. Any reason why that would be?
It's different season, different circumstances. We've looked into this and are not pleased with what's happened this season, and obviously away against Southampton last game was a result that we didn't want, and tonight's the night that we've got to put it right and get back to winning ways and get back to that winning, free-flowing football that we're used to, and get that spark. I think we had so many chances the last game and didn't execute them. That was a frustrating part, because we're getting there but not finishing them off. So, tonight's another day to put things right, and hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, and I guess times like this are opportunities, whether selected or given an opportunity, for players in the squad that maybe haven't played a lot of football to impress, to make a mark.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've always known that it's a squad game, and especially with the amount of games that we've had across the season and in this busy period now. We know that everyone's such a valuable member, and I think we set a high standard for ourselves every 3 days, and it's something that we're proud of over the 3-4 seasons that we've been competing for the title. To maintain that is something in itself, and everyone knows how valued they are to the team and in whatever competition that is.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Cheers, guys.
Nice to see you. See you later.
John Stones there speaking ahead of tonight's game against Newcastle. Interesting point there, mentioned that actually the 4 defenders that are starting, you'd say are probably the 4 that haven't started the most games, between Zinchenko, Cancelo, John Stones and Otamendi. Do you think they are going to be going out with a point to prove, or is the cause for concern that they haven't managed to build up some form of momentum?
I think both. They're going to want to prove something. Obviously, there's a lot still to play for in Man City's season, so they're playing for places. I think we all know that Laporte is the mainstay in the defence. So, in a weird way, these are kind of playing against each other, with each other, but against each other for that other spot. And it hasn't boded well in the past. So, hopefully tonight they strike up a partnership and get the result for Man City, but showcase what they bring to the team.
Would this team, do you think, benefit from some maybe consistency in that back 4? Because we do see some of the smaller mistakes that have happened throughout the season, but I think that possibly having, well, I want to ask you, Joleon, basically, would you have liked to have people that you knew were either side of you week in, week out?
It definitely helps. Consistency and kind of a more routine and settled back 4 definitely helps. I think other areas of the team you can not experiment, but you can rotate. But what the good thing is about this team and Pep, and he's not kind of negative if someone does make a mistake. Like Zinchenko's playing tonight, he led to a goal that led to us losing, but he's not kind of held accountable for that. It's go and you'll play on kind of a Wednesday night. So in regards to the accountability of what Pep expects, I don't think it comes into his mindset of the next game. I think it's, well, that was that game. Whether you played good or bad, it's indifferent. It's who's the best team and who's the best personnel to win the next game, and he's picked a team that he believes will win tonight.
Now, that was the mistake we were talking about there. That was the goal for Southampton. And it was Che Adams, and he managed to strike it from there, which was, incredible. We've got highlights here. The ball just wouldn't go in the back of the net. It felt once again we were trying, and it just didn't seem to come off. That must be so frustrating for these players, Joleon.
Yeah, definitely. And it was funny, before the game, I heard their manager speak about it, and he said what they're going to need to do. And he was like, we need to be kind of take our chances when they come. If they come, we need to be clinical, we need to be resilient, everyone needs to play well, and we also need luck. And they got all of them things. And when he said it, you kind of like, if you know that's, you need everything to go your way when you're playing a top team, and it did. And as I said, City didn't play badly. Southampton just played really well.
Alex McCarthy in net was unbelievable.
Inspired.
It just didn't seem to go our way. But going back to John Stones, someone we just heard from right there, Pep was talking about him in his press conference, saying that he is going to play. This must be such a confidence boost for him, because he's not had the season that he's wanted to have through injuries, but playing tonight will be huge for him.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing I like to see and hear from Pep, is that he always backs his players. Obviously, there was a lot of kind of hype around John Stones, and rightly so, when he arrived at the club, and could Pep turn him into kind of being a world-class centre-half. And he's going into his kind of prime years. What is he, 25, 26? So there's going to become a time now when he's going to be, even in that interview then, he looks physically bigger. He looks like he's kind of matured into a man's body now. So hopefully that's the case. And with the confidence from the manager, any player will tell you they enjoy that. No player kind of plays worse or feels worse when a manager gives you praise. So as soon as you're going into a game and you know that's the case, so the manager's got you whole backing, then you just want to do well.
What do you think that is, Joleon? Because you mentioned it there that John Stones was one of Pep's first signings, and was definitely hyped up to be his perfect kind of English centre-half, and was one of the first players we brought in his transfer window. But there just seems to have been this mystery around John Stones, that even when he's had those run of games as well, he's still not quite to hit the expectations I think that people have of him. And one thing I've clocked, and I was talking about this with my brother, is whenever you hear any professionals within the game talking, any trainers or coaches, they do all speak very highly of John Stones as a defender, but it's something as a City fan that I've never seen here yet on a consistent basis.
Yeah, obviously he came at such a young age, and there's no in the greatest respect, there's not many world-class centre-halves at 21. Like, you have to, it's a position you have to experience to kind of learn from mistakes, to kind of get better. And hopefully that's the case now with John Stones. But I think if at the younger and earlier stage of his City career, if Vincent had been more, had played more games, he'd learned from him, he would have trained alongside him and understand that aspect of it. That could only have helped him. You know what I mean? The fact that he's played with Mendy, who for me, when they played together in early years, they seemed like they realised they were fighting for that one spot to play with Vinny.
Yes.
And you kind of showed they wasn't playing as a partnership. It was like, well, one of us is going to play next week when Vinny's fit, kind of thing, or when Vinny's selected. So who's it going to be? And that's one area of the field you can't do that. You have to play as a partnership.
How difficult is that when you've got somebody that you know quite clearly is cemented their first team spot in Vincent Kompany, but then you've got somebody else who's competing with you for that position? You want to play, you love football. That's why they're here. That's why they're footballers, because they love it. They want as many minutes as possible, but you know that you have to be the best and you have to rotate at times as well, though, within that squad. Yeah,
again, I think the rotation thing is a big thing to get your head around. You know, if you play well, you want to play the next game, and on to a certain aspects, if you don't play well, you want to correct it. So in regards to kind of getting your head around that, it's difficult at times, but going from personal experience, I recognised early that Vinny was going to play, so I needed to be Vincent's best partner. I didn't need to be the best defender, or like, and when me and Colo played together, I needed to be Vinny's best partner. So when the games come that mattered and Vinny was going to play, I was going to be alongside him, and I kind of grasped that. And as I said, I just don't feel when they're playing together, they've understood that. It's more of a kind of individual kind of partnership than an actual collective one.
Would you then, Joleon, have changed your game to how you would have played it? You know, previous clubs, you know, you say at Everton, where you were kind of leading that, the central defence partnership, whoever that might be. Did you then have to make a conscious effort to cater your game to complement Kompany's?
Oh, definitely. There was things that I was comfortable doing that I knew that Vinny was more comfortable doing and better at, and so I thought, you know what, I don't need to do them things. I don't need to step in front. I don't need to showcase what I'm good on the ball, because I'm at the level where I wanted to be. So you kind of doing them things at other clubs to kind of get to here. Once you're here, you need to recognise what's the best for this team, because this team is going to win titles and trophies. And as I said, I recognised that I needed to adapt my game, and I was humble enough to do that in the aspects of, I don't want to be man of the match. I just need to be the best partnership, part of the best partnership. And if that means Vinny's getting the plaudits, then so be it.
It's that thing as well of you've got the best interests of the team at the heart of everything you do, rather than individually.
Yeah, but and I don't want to say that as if these players haven't got that.
No.
But that was just my kind of partake on it. That was my kind of thought process into why I kind of realised what was important.
I think that's one thing you can definitely feel within the squad, is that ethos and that kind of understanding for each other and squad rotation. Everyone has brought into that and seems to be very happy with that. And one man that has come from is our manager, Pep Guardiola, and we can hear from him now.
Pep game at home, which is probably at the moment a good thing, because the form strangely away is not so good, but you like it here.
Yeah, the results were not good away, but the performance was more than decent. But we have to win. This game we don't win. We don't have many arguments to convince the people that you are right. Normally you are wrong.
Another chance perhaps to look at a different back four. Is that part of the ongoing search for the right solutions in defence for you?
No. It's let everyone to play. This is the reason why. So I think this is the reason why.
Yeah.
So a lot of games every 3 days. We have Brighton in 3 days, and every 3 days we have a game, so everyone has to play.
Yeah, and actually it could still be quite a long season for you. Clearly it could go on till late August if it went to plan. So players like John Stones just coming back, opportunities will be meaningful.
Yeah, but the plan is win every game we played. For sure we are going to play until 7th of August against Madrid, and after we will see.
Yeah, and do you learn much from the meeting with Newcastle in the Cup, do you think? Is that a different game today?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know the way they're going to play. Focus what you have to do, and hopefully we can maintain the level of the last games, and hopefully we can win again.
Watch the sprinklers. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Gracias.
I'd love it if Pep did get caught by the sprinklers there, just as he wandered off. That was Pep giving his thoughts ahead of tonight's game against Newcastle. Set's falling apart. There we go. But no, one thing he's mentioned there, Joleon, was of course that he doesn't know what to expect maybe from the Newcastle team. Any idea of what you think we might see?
I think there'll be a bit more freedom. Like I said before, they tried to be compact, and obviously there was in a respect, a lot more at stake in regards to the cup game. You lose that, you're out. There's no going back. Where they know they're safe now, so they can play with the gloves off and kind of go at City. They know that they lose this game, it's not going to affect their position in terms of relegation. It may affect the confidence going forward into the last few games, but they're safe. Their goal at the start of the season was to stay in this league, and also the fact that they tried a way and it didn't work. So in respect of Steve Bruce's knowledge, he's not going to try the same way and expect different results. So hopefully he comes there and it's a bit more expansive for the fans to watch, or for us to watch even.
Now we can see Pep Guardiola and Steve Bruce chatting to each other. There's a wealth of managerial experience in these two. If I'm right in thinking, you just missed out on working with Steve Bruce when at Aston Villa. He went there just after you, I think. Have you ever worked with him in any other setups at all?
No, I've come across him before. When I was leaving City, I was close to joining Hull due to him being the manager. I wanted to work with a British manager after working with Mancini, Pellegrini and then Fabio Capello being the national team boss. So he was my manager I spoke to and who I have a lot of respect for, a fellow centre-half. Obviously won trophies in a massive era for Man United and well respected in that aspect of it. So he's kind of been there and done it all. So it's strange to me that when the potential takeover is spoken about, that he's not the man to lead them into that. He's performed at the highest level and managed and worked with top players. So I don't know why he wouldn't be given an opportunity there.
Let's have a quick look possibly at the starting 11 for Newcastle this evening. They start with Dubravka in goal, then they've got Yedlin, Kraft, Fernandez, Danny Rose, Fabian Schär, John Joe Shelvey, Nabil Bentaleb, Valentino Lazaro, Matt Ritchie and Joe Linton. They've got no Alan St-Maximin starting for them. He's not on the subs bench either. I wanted to talk about him just a little bit, but he isn't in that starting 11. But what a player. It feels like he's brought that kind of flair to the Premier League, and he's seeming to have a great season, Joleon.
Yeah, definitely. He's kind of a player that Newcastle fans will be used to, like the Asprillas and Ginolas and Robert Albert kind of things. They've had players that have created moments throughout years at Newcastle, but he seemed to find a consistency early on in his Newcastle career. At the start, there was speculations: could he maintain it? Was his temperament right? And having spoken to Patrick Vieira about him, he said in terms of ability and talent, he's up there with the best he's seen, kind of thing. It was just whether he could transform it and be consistent enough, and he's found a way to do that. And the speculation about his future, which again he's probably deserved due to his impact in the games, but it's only a good thing that he's not playing tonight. 1v1, you don't leave your defenders 1v1 against players like that. You have to respect his ability and then double up. And I've seen teams even triple up against him. And it kind of then leaves other players with the opportunities to create moments.
Now, there is one player that is starting this evening, Joe Linton. There's been a lot of talk about him struggling in front of goal. Have you ever been in a team where there's a striker that it's just not working for them, Joleon? Have you seen that play out and unfold in front of you where they've just not been able to put that ball in the back of the net and they have struggled, and we're clearly seeing that frustration?
Yeah, there's been times when, and I'm sure every striker will admit they don't score as many goals as they would like. They want to score every opportunity, which is not obviously realistic, but the number 9 shirt at Newcastle weighs a lot heavier than other number 9 shirts due to Alan Shearer, you know what I mean? So it's kind of got more focus than other shirts. But what his contribution to the team, his teammates will know. The fact that he's been selected more often than not, and regardless of his kind of record in front of goal, proves that his impact for that team is more important than just goals. He could be a lot more selfish in regards to getting goals, but then that would have a negative effect, in my opinion, on the way Newcastle play. When you've played against him, he looks like the striker that you've had a game. You've been in a physical battle, whether he scored or not. So he offers more to the team than just goals, and I'm sure his teammates appreciate him.
Now let's have a quick just talk about the Premier League as an overall. Talked about Newcastle, that they are kind of safe. They're probably going for a top 10 position right there. And actually, when you're thinking about their season, what they've managed to do, a team of Newcastle stature, the takeover, as you said, this is a big season for them to get that top 10, because it sets them up for next season. If the takeover happens, then actually they are going to be challenging to push themselves further, to get top 8, to get a European spot.
Yeah, definitely, and that's a club with huge expectations from the fans. And when Steve Bruce went in there, I don't think there was many people on his side due to the job that Rafa had done, and they kind of made judgment of Steve Bruce before he'd even managed the game. But he showcased this season that he can get the most out of the players he's got, and he can play a more attractive style than Rafa. Obviously, I think Rafa's teams were probably harder to beat in certain aspects and certain games, but Steve Bruce looks like he's trying to implement a style that wants to win every game and not looking in games trying not to lose. And I think managers get caught up in that in the Premier League. I think there's a lot of teams that tried not to lose, and if you try not to lose and it doesn't go to plan, you concede. Where do you go from there? Because you're more open, and then all of a sudden you're going to concede more. Where Steve Bruce has kind of got a good blend of, we don't want to concede too many, but we know we need to be open enough to kind of get man forward.
Well, let's hear from the man himself now. This is what Steve Bruce had to say before tonight's game against City.
I think all coaches or managers or whatever you are would all love to be Guardiola. I'm blessed with that talent he's got, not just as a player either. He was a terrific footballer and all. And the way they play is totally different. I mean, they're very difficult to play against because of their movement. They don't just play in positions. For example, the goalkeeper plays as a sweeper, as like an outfield player. He's got a left foot, which is probably better than most outfield players themselves. They're a wonderful football club, so you have to admire what they've done, what they've achieved. However, the great thing about the Premier League is it's honesty. And when you see Southampton going about their jobs the other night, then we've got to do much more of the same. And hopefully, that little bit of luck that you need, your goalkeeper to play well and take part in the game. We were too passive in the cup tie. I think we were much better second half. So let's see what we can do.
The utmost of respect there for Pep Guardiola from Steve Bruce here. The Newcastle players now just about to head out onto the Etihad pitch to warm up. He kind of touched upon what you said there, Joleon, that he felt that they were a little bit too reserved in the first half. It was a better second half performance for them when we met them in the Cup. So we're probably going to see that more expansive style of play. And I think one man who will be key to that is John Joe Shelvey, who I think he is definitely appreciated, but actually I think sometimes goes under the radar of how good he is.
Yeah, technically he's very good. Worked with John Joe at England level and seeing his technical ability. And you don't play for Liverpool if you don't have a certain amount of ability. Obviously, there's been question marks about his work ethic in the past, and that's probably the thing that lets him down in regards to the consistency of that, not his ability, not his consistency on the ball. It's out of possession. What does he bring to the team when it gets tough? Can you rely on him to kind of give everything? And he strikes me as the person that, when it's going well for him and the team, he'll be everywhere. He'll be so impactful. But then again, when it's not going so well, can you rely on him to just say, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice that side of the game to kind of just to combat what the other team are doing?
Now, we have heard from of all of the starting 11s, Manchester City and Newcastle this evening. We want to hear your thoughts, though, as well. So please do get in touch, all right? You can use that hashtag WNRH. Send us pictures of how you're watching the game. Send us your thoughts and your reactions to those starting 11s. But going back to that Newcastle starting 11, we've talked about John Joe Shelvey. We've talked about Maximum, who's not playing, but also Joe Linton, as we can see just there as well. He could give some issues to our defence tonight. If he does get in and about it, he's a big guy. He is going against Mendy and John Stones, and within the first 5 or 10 minutes, he's going to be throwing himself around.
Yeah, definitely. With him in the team, they have the option to go a bit more direct. I think they did that again with the home leg. Obviously, with Andy Carroll, you can obviously go a bit more direct and play to his strengths. Joe Linton offers a bit more than that for me. He offers the capability to run into the channels and stretch the teams, and you have to respect him. He scored a lot of goals last season and performed at a high level, hence the reason why Newcastle bought him. So they kind of have to respect his ability. He's physically he's strong. And for me, this is a good game for John Stones. It's a good game to showcase that he can defend. As you said, there's probably City fans that don't believe he's as good as defender as he actually is. He can defend. He enjoys that side of the game. Yeah, he's kind of been touted to be the next kind of Rio Ferdinand in terms of possession, but he respects the defending aspect of being a central defender, and as I said, I don't think he does get enough credit for that.
Speaking of the defence, and we'll go up to our attacking side of the pitch very shortly, but one man as well that it's his second game starting, and I think it's rare that we see him kind of get a run of games, is Joao Cancelo. And I think he played okay against Southampton, but I was just wondering to see what you think about him, and if you think he is someone that can, definitely play within rotation of Kyle Walker and not necessarily emulate Kyle Walker, but bring enough to warrant that he deserves a starting place in our 11.
Well, I think that's why he was brought to the club. I know there was a part exchange deal going on, but his form last season at Juve was exceptional.
He was,
he was kind of very, very consistent in up and down the whole kind of side of that field. He didn't just play right back, he played right wing for a number of games as well. So in terms of what he can bring, there's definitely a quality. There's definitely a technical ability that he has, and you can see that. The defensive side of it, I'm still question marks over. I still don't think he's probably not been tested as much as he has now. Obviously playing for Juve, I know Juve dominate that league for a number of years, and there's teams that probably set up totally different where you don't get that kind of respect in the Premier League. There's obviously teams come here and believe they can get something out of it, so they kind of target the weaker links in the team, and not knowing Cancelo that he was probably that guy, because not many people would have known about him. But in regards to what he can offer, he's an international footballer, so and he plays for Portugal, so as I said, he's not going to be a slouch in any way.
Now, let's talk a bit about this evening. He's playing that second game, as you said, against Newcastle. But, Joleon, we want to talk about your time playing against Newcastle, because your Manchester City record against Newcastle, 8 wins from 8 games against them. Have you got any special moments or games that stand out for you?
Moments? Moment. It didn't involve me, to be fair. I think it was a home game, and they not long got Sissoko, and he was their Yaya Toure. And Yaya had that tendency to be like, if he lost the ball or someone was going to show him up, he would just turn it on. And literally, I remember Sissoko picking up the ball, taking it for a run, and Yaya thought, let me slow you down, and just put the afterburners on and literally just like ran alongside him, brushed him off, and just took it off him. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? But he was obviously at that time was dominating what they were about and performing at a high level. So that would be the one memory that I thought, you still have another level to go to if you need to.
Yaya also had that amazing performance. I think you spoke about this before as well, Joleon, in that 11-12 season when we won 2-0. Both goals came from Yaya. What was that like, that game?
Yeah, I forgot about that game. That was obviously at St James's, and I remember getting ready to travel to that game, and me and Yaya were leaving the dressing room at Carrington, and I said, come on, Yaya, it's a big game tomorrow. And he went, don't worry, I'm going to score tomorrow. And I was like, but he didn't say it confidently. He meant that. It wasn't like, oh, don't worry, like, okay, we'll see. He was like, no, I'm going to score tomorrow. Like, he'd been there, already played the game and knew what the score was going to be, and he just obviously at the start of this game, he was like a deeper role, and then he changed to that formation and that style when we did throughout that season when we brought Nigel de Jong on, and I don't know what Nigel's doing up there, to be honest.
Got nosebleed.
Yeah, then Yaya went into the number 10 role, which again surprised us that he could actually do that. But Yaya's ability, that's one thing he doesn't get enough respect for, is that his technique was unreal. Like, he had a lot of kind of clubs in his bag.
Is that because he makes everything look so effortless and actually like he's playing at 50%, but his performance is 100%? And people will always look at him and say he's running around, he's jogging around, but his positioning was immaculate. He knew where to be, where that ball was going to land for him.
That's the thing. There's a lot of players like that obviously their appearance perceives them in the aspects of, they look like they can do more, but if they're doing enough, why should they do more? Like, why should he try any harder than he's actually trying? Who's to say he's not trying 100%? But just because he doesn't look like it, to say someone else could be trying if it's possible, 110%, but not getting to the balls, not being able to play that. I'd rather have someone like Yaya that only gives me, on paper, or perceives to be giving me 80% and performs.
Now, we've talked about him in the dressing room. We've talked about him and the confidence that he brings, being able to say that he's going to score the night before a game. And we've touched on it briefly before about how that must make you feel as a player within that team, knowing going forward that actually you've got someone there who's just going to pick up that game by the scruff of its neck. And when you need a goal, he can get into that number 10 position. He can score from outside the box. He'll put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, going into that game, that was a huge game. If we sit here, think about what that meant, it was huge. He played in Champions League finals. So, in greatest respect to that situation, it wasn't that big to him. It was just a normal league game. So, he'd been there and he can obviously deal with the pressure and expectation of what comes with them games. And, he as I said, he'd seen and experienced their moments.
Do you think we missed that in Southampton? Because obviously De Bruyne wasn't on the starting 11 and he came on a little bit later. And we spoke when we were at the Liverpool game that he seems to be kind of taking on that ability now that you're talking about. Do you think that was one thing we maybe missed against Southampton?
It's easy to say that now because we lost the game, but if you look at the chances we created, like there was a high volume of chances. As I said, the keeper was one of the MOMs in line with the other defenders. So in regards to that, I don't think that was the reason. Let's not forget we lost games with Jaya in the team. We didn't lose. We didn't not lose because he was playing. So there are things that you have to cater for, and sometimes it goes like that. Like at half time, I remember watching the game and them saying like, you kind of got that feeling it wasn't going to go for City. And as a player and as a professional, you kind of have them games where you know, no matter what we do, this ball's not going to go in the net.
I love that you said just before that it was just a league game for him. It's just casual. I would do anything just to play for this team. Just once. Absolutely anything. But going back to that game against Southampton, and actually, as players, it must get so frustrating. You can see the clock. You can see that there's less time. It's ticking down, and you need to score. You need it to actually come for you, and it's just not happening. How do you react to that? What can you actually do when the keeper's having the best game of his life, you're trying everything you can, and it's just not coming off?
Again, you just need to know that you are giving everything you can, regardless of who it is and what position you play. You just need to give it all. And there are games like that, and in moments like that, that's probably when you need Sergio.
Yeah.
But in greatest respect, like, City didn't play bad. They performed at a high level. If that game finished 4-1, no one's saying anything, you know what I mean? And I seen a stat today that was Southampton conceded as much shots and attempts on goal as they did in the early part of the season when they lost 9-0. So it was just a freak moment. Credit to Southampton. It wasn't just luck. It was a lot of determination and skill, and they had to be at their best.
Speaking of goals, and it was something that I wanted to ask you both about, and it was kind of, I was thinking about when you talking about Joel Linton, because of course you say that he works hard and he's one of those players that you go, he's going to take you through the game. Can't quite put the ball in the back of the net. Do you think we're feeling that with Jesus a little bit? Now, I adore Jesus. Yeah. I think his work rate, I think what he gives us off the ball is dynamite. You think of the Real Madrid game, him on the left wing was fantastic. But he is a striker, you know, and he is meant to be, you know, between him and Aguero, the people that get us goals. Haven't quite seen him do it enough. And when we've turned to rely on him, especially when Aguero's been injured, obviously it's hard to emulate Aguero, but I don't know if he's putting it in the back of the net enough.
Again, he won't be, due to his own ambition to wanting to score every game and every opportunity. But for me, I don't think he looks comfortable yet being selfish and only thinking about himself and the goals. He looks like he's geared for the team and wants the best for the team, which is right, which we all want to see. But Sergio has them games and them moments when I'm just going to score. I might not even be involved today, but when my chance comes, I'm going to score. And I don't think he's developed that kind of selfishness within himself to be that guy. And that's what you need to be a number 9 at Man City. The work rate is great. And what Pep has for you, we want to see that. But that's not going to be the defining moments on your career. No one's going to look back and think, wow, what a great run he made there off the ball, what a kind of a great tackle or block. People are going to remember the goals. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing he needs to develop, that selfishness inside.
Now, one memorable goal that I can remember came from my namesake, Kyle Walker. What a strike it was. He's not afraid to have a go at times, and we can have a look at this. And I think having someone who's able to do this, someone who's not afraid to do this, and just Look at that. I mean,
I was moving that.
I will tell you a story about this. He scored that game, and if I remember right, he actually got man of the match.
Yeah.
But 2 days before, I'd done a tour of the Etihad, and there's a point on the tour where you get a picture of a man of the match trophy. So I actually put a picture up with a man of the match trophy after the game, saying, "Yeah, Kyle Walker's got 2 man of the matches now," and it went. Oh, social media went crazy.
Followers went up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
But it was the coincidence that I'd taken it a few days before, and then he scores that goal. But having that confidence to do that on the pitch, when you need a goal, you just want to have a dig, have a strike, and for it to fly in like that moment, that feeling must be incredible.
Well, I can't say I know that feeling because I've never done that. I've never been able to strike a ball like that. But in regards to that, what that brings, self-confidence. But that only comes with knowing your capabilities. He knows he can do that. He's obviously done that before at Spurs and in training to kind of take the responsibility on. We've seen Vinny. That's probably, you can remember, obviously, the similar situations in terms of the aspects of the games. I've never seen Vinny do that before, I might point out. But in regards to Kyle Walker, yeah, he's obviously got a lot of ability and a lot is spoken about his energy and his pace, but he brings a lot of quality to the team and a lot of kind of grit, and you see many a time you've seen him clearing them off the lines, which again he gets not enough credit for.
Yeah, that kind of sums up kind of what Kyle Walker does bring to our team, some of those goal line clearances. Speaking of goals, and we have had a few worldies actually against Newcastle. The one that De Bruyne scored at St James's Park, you know, when he took it on the chest and then volleyed, that was at the start before the restart. He also had one here. Do you remember when the ball came across and he catches it on the volley and it goes into the top left? I think it was the season before.
How did you do it again? Just show us one more, time.
It's a tight groin. Tight groin.
Tight jeans,
But speaking of goals, Joleon, you've been known to put the ball in the back of the net a few times. In fact, I don't know if you know this, you actually rank on the top 10 defenders who've scored the most goals in the Premier League. 23 goals in the Premier League, Joleon.
I'm not sure that was yours. That was a bit too quick. I didn't know you could move that quick, Joleon.
You sound surprised, though. I'm not surprised in that. Like, in regards to goals, yeah, obviously, that was what City were looking for, a goal-scoring defender, so I had to make sure that. I'm joking. But
you got that goal bonus there in the contract.
But to be fair, like, in regards to scoring goals, it started off probably... when I was at Wolves and Glenador used to make me do finishing sessions, and I was like, what am I doing? Why would I do this? And it was like you get in positions where you can score a lot more goals. So that's a weird one, that. But so
I would be fuming if that would have gone off you and I'd just headed that in and you're taking it on the line.
That took us in. The worst one, I think, the worst one I've scored in this catalogue, if they show it, is Bolton. I think it just hits me in the face and just flies in the net. I don't even know if I know anything about it. Yeah, this is a big goal. That was a big goal.
Was a big one.
That I scored a lot against Villa. I enjoyed them moments. But yeah, in terms of goals, it's not something I was like serious about. I enjoy scoring. I think every player enjoys scoring, but now for me to do that, and let's point another factor. I didn't take any set pieces. There's no penalties in there. There's no free kicks. That's all the players do.
Who's that dig at? Go on, who's that?
All the other defenders. Well, everybody else on that list.
Speaking of the other defenders, all right, we've got the full list here, the top 10. You rank in number 9 with 23, all right. Can you name the other players which are on this top 10 list?
All of them. Ooh. I'm going to say John Terry.
Okay, yeah, number 1, 41.
Yeah. Gary Cahill would be up there.
He is, yeah. He is. He's 5th with 27.
Yeah, I don't think they took any set pieces either. So
there's an asterisk next to his. I'm not sure why, but it might be the set pieces.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, that don't count then. That don't count. Let's go for some defenders that took set pieces. Unsworth, did he take? I'm sure he took pens. No.
Yes, he's second. Yeah, 38.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Other defenders.
There's someone there that you played with quite a lot. We actually spoke about him last time you were here last week.
I played with him a lot.
Yeah. Everton.
Fullback.
Leighton Baines. Yeah, I was going to say Baines. Yeah.
He's third, 32.
Oh, wow. Yeah, free kick specialist, to be fair to him.
One more that played left back, played for Leeds.
Ian Hart.
There you go. 4th with 28. Yeah. Any others? You know there? You're getting quite a few.
That's half of them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
You've got the top 5. You've got the top 5.
Top 5. Yeah. So what are the other teams? Just give me the teams that they
right. So 1 in 6: Newcastle, Aston Villa, Everton, and West Brom. It's got 26 goals.
he played for all them teams.
Yeah.
Or one guy.
Yeah.
Who was he? Say the teams again, sorry.
Newcastle, Aston Villa, Everton, West Brom.
Ooh.
Tough. Do you want it?
Nah.
It's competitive.
Yeah. Don't tell me the answer. You got to half time.
You've got until half time, so we can do the other four on the list at half time. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Get your thinking hat on.
I think that was good. That was better than me. I think I got 3 or 4. Really, that was me. That was out when I was trying to guess it.
Okay.
There's something about a defender though who can take that left back position where they can take a free kick and it just curls in, or even a defender that can take a penalty. Sergio Ramos, he's one of them that
he's got a high number of goals.
He has. Yeah, I think he's now the most highest scoring defender in La Liga.
Yeah, I think he scored more than Griezmann this season.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. But he scored he's a penalty taker for Spain as well. So I think his career goals are over 100.
Fair play. There we go. Although he couldn't do what Vincent Kompany did against Leicester, could he?
Nah.
Never seen one of them moments from Sergio
That
Ramos.
is very true.
Saying that he did score a brace in his Champions League semi-final.
Yeah, but he's suspended against City now.
Do you know
what? That's a nice segue. That it's almost like we planned it. It's almost like it's scripted, you might say. Because obviously, let's look ahead. Because Pep is very good at managing expectations, and he got asked the question: we could play right up until the end of August. He said, "We've got one game." In around the 7th or 8th, which has been said it's going to be played here at the Etihad. Looking at that then, one, do you think that is a win for City that we can play it here? Granted, there's going to be no fans here, which is a shame, but to have it be played here and not in Portugal, that's got to be a big bonus for us.
I think that's credit to the decision makers for doing that. I definitely think it's a bonus, obviously, just for the travel aspect. Obviously, the fact that we lads won't have to have a settled night at home. Normal routine and familiar surroundings. Obviously, not playing in your home stadium cannot feel like a home game. So the credit for the decision makers to let that happen. But it's not going to be the atmosphere that we all want. We've seen Champions Nights here before, and we know that the crowd can get right behind this team and drive a performance and a result. So it's not going to be that occasion, but hopefully the lads are going to be right at it on the day and get the win.
Looking at that then, so the teams that have already qualified are Atlanta, RB Leipzig, Atletico Madrid and PSG. Still to play Chelsea, Bayern, Napoli, Barcelona and then Lyon and Juventus. So big teams there.
Yeah, and we'll find out on Friday, should we make it past Real Madrid in this second leg, who we will be playing. And all of those teams that you've mentioned, I mean, as a City fan growing up, watching Manchester City against PSG or against your Juventus, against Real Madrid even, it's absolutely huge. But going forward into the next round, I mean, Atalanta, RB Leipzig, Atletico Madrid, PSG, they're just the teams that have already qualified. This is the Champions League. Anyone can beat anyone, Joleon, and the pressure is on because this team want to win it. They want to show what they can do in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. And the biggest compliment you can play to City and what Pep's done is that none of them teams will want to face Man City. Yeah. No one in that tie will want to play here, or play against us. So that's the biggest compliment you can play. But like you said, a few years ago, would you have expected to kind of be the favourites against the world's best team? So we've come a long way, and hopefully it continues. And Pep can obviously can complete the trophy list that he's started.
I picked up on something Pep said at the end of the Liverpool game, and he's never said this before. Whenever he's asked about can City win the Champions League, he always plays that thing of going, don't know if we're quite ready yet. We need to get to the semi-finals, then we can look ahead to next season. But he said after the Liverpool game, we've beat the best team in Europe, so yes, we can win the Champions League. Do you think there is possibly some form of something simmering that could mean come August that we could give this a real good go, maybe the best opportunity we've had?
I think Pep has always believed we could beat or win the Champions League. For whatever reasons, it hasn't happened. But I think that performance impressed him. It was clinical. It was thorough. It was determined. So I think he knows what his team are capable of, and we all know that. But it just impresses you more when it's against the so-called best team. So the fact that they demolished Liverpool, and let's rightly so, it was that. It could have been more. Yeah. It should have been more with the last one kind of thing. So I just think they kind of probably surprised Pep a little in that game and the performance and the result.
I know I'm very biased. Sorry when I say this,
okay.
Right, but I am biased, right? But honestly, I was here for that Tottenham game last year, but our season last year, I so believe, had we gone through, That would have been ours to have. The football that we played last year and the rhythm that we were in, and it was just down to a couple decisions, really, for me. I do feel that was the season where we could have really gone and done it, you know.
I think we think that every year. I think it's been decisions-based, not performance-based, that we've been knocked out.
True.
The Liverpool one, when we should have had the goal before half-time, I think if that stands, we go on to win that game.
Agreed.
And that year, if we beat Liverpool, I believe we go on to win the competition. But it didn't happen for whatever reason. And are we going to be disappointed if we win it this year under these circumstances? No, we're not, are we? We just want to win that trophy and obviously bring that home. And I think that propels Man City to another level. If Man City win the Champions League, I know everyone believes Man City are a top club, but I think there's no question marks then, is there, over anything if they win the Champions League.
How much harder will it be moving forward with it being one-legged games? So every single game now in the Champions League is essentially a final. You have to win it in that 90 minutes or in the 120 minutes penalties.
It's difficult because you're facing the best players in the world, in my opinion. I think the Champions League is the best competition. I think it's tougher not tougher to win than the World Cup, but the level and the consistency is better for me. But one game, I think suits Man City. I think our record in finals under Pep is immaculate. I think he's in the big games again. We're talking about decisions. We're not talking about performances. We can never look at a big game and say, the lads weren't at it today. They always kind of have a mindset and a determination to win. And for whatever reason, it doesn't always go to plan. But Pep wires them up right. So in their so-called, 3 finals that he could be, I think that suits Man City down to the ground.
I touched upon this when we were last together in the Liverpool game, and I don't think it's ever more present than when it comes to the Champions League. Is these slight lapses in concentration that have riddled our season, really. You know, that the Southampton game, that's not the first example of that happening, where we've dominated possession, we've had 20+ shots on target, and yet we've still ended up either drawing or losing the game. You go back to Norwich at the start of the season. Tottenham was where I think they had 2 shots on target and it was 2 goals. How do you iron that out? Because you do know when you come up against your Madrids or any of these teams that we're talking about, they are the ones that punish you. Like, there isn't even a chance that you might not kind of get away with it. Like, they are going to absolutely take those mistakes and make a fool of you. How do you iron them out? And is that a concern?
I wouldn't say a concern, because, again, I don't remember too many occasions where that's happened. Again, in the bigger games, players are more focused. And in the greatest respect to Sunday and Southampton, it's easy to be a little bit complacent. Like, are we going to see Zinchenko inside in that position against the Real Madrid? I doubt it. I think there's a lot more respect for what the threat Real Madrid have. So players play their positions and not overcomplicate what they're trying to do. I think, obviously, Pep sets up a team in every game to win, but he's also respectful of the opposition in the aspect of, I know you can't go there, because if you go there, their winger is Gareth Bale. You don't get back against Gareth Bale, so just stay out there. Where against Southampton, their wingers are midfielders or defensive-minded wingers to combat what Raheem Sterling's doing. So it's a different mindset. So again, the approach to it all, I think we've seen it in the away leg, that Jesus is on the wing. Like, Jesus isn't playing on the wing against Southampton. He's playing a striker. You're going to do your job, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But there's a lot more respect.
Now, Joleon, you played in the City team that beat Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich 3-2.
What a game,
in
by
Munich,
the way.
December 2013.
Is that James Milner?
Just explain to us that feeling of being there. You're in the biggest competition, arguably, in the world, and then you're playing against Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich, and you're Manchester City. This isn't Manchester City now. This is 7 years ago.
I didn't even realise he was the manager. Like, I wouldn't even been able to guess who was the manager then, to be fair. But yeah, I remember that game. We didn't start off that well, did we? We went 2-0.
2-0 down. And was it not Aguero had the unbelievable performance?
Nah, it was James Milner. James Milner was that game. Did he score?
Yeah.
And he got man of the match.
Yes, he did. He was absolutely everywhere.
Ridiculous.
He was everywhere that
I think he was everywhere most of the time.
Yeah, true that.
He still is everywhere. But that game, I think, because other stars weren't everywhere, it highlighted what he does on a daily basis. But yeah, he was immaculate that game. So in regards to what that meant, we were confident going into them games. And I think the team that Pellegrini selected at that time probably wasn't the strongest on paper in terms of what that season was about, but we were determined to go there and showcase what we were about. We went 2-0 down, but we believed that as a team, because a lot of them players weren't featuring week in, week out in the league. So there was a little bit more determination from us as a collective group to kind of get a result.
Could you feel that? I mean, because it's interesting because you're saying now the sentence that all them teams do fair play in us and we just need that one final thing to really cement ourselves as one of the top clubs in Europe. But you were there kind of at the start of that journey. Did you feel that as a team and as a players that you were really trying to put City on the map when it comes to European football?
Yeah, definitely. The goal was to kind of obviously win the league and stuff like that. But in regards to the Champions League, you know that's the kind of pinnacle everybody's watching. All eyes are on you. So we wanted to showcase that we deserve to be there and we could compete. And on numerous occasions, we beat top teams. I think the first year before kind of Pellegrini, was it Mancini?
Mancini, yeah.
I think we got a record like 10, 11 points.
Yeah, we did. We got 11 points.
And got knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen. And then I think it was the second year after the year we won the title, our group was Real Madrid, Ajax, Dortmund and us, and we'd all won the league. we don't, like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, because our seeding was still not. We weren't top seed,
part 4. So these lads now got it easy. Do you know what I mean? We were part 4, having to grind it out, and that gets the best in the group stages, where these lads now getting buys and all that through.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because fast forward to 2020, City still haven't won that Champions League. We know that we do want it. We've got a team that can definitely do it, and as fans, this is what we want now. We've won the Premier Leagues. We still love winning the Premier Leagues, obviously, but the Champions League is, I think, what everyone connected to the club does want, and we're so close to it, aren't we, Joleon? That is in our grasp now as a team.
Yeah, definitely. The league will always be the best thing to win, and at the start of the kind of era of the owners and this club on this great journey that they've run, the fans and everyone would have chose the league. But now we've got used to winning that, and not in a disrespectful way. Like, winning the league now is special, but winning the Champions League would be that next thing, you know what I mean? That kind of one that just takes us to the upper echelons of world football, and the recognition that rightly so comes with winning the Champions League. So I'm sure the club are equally determined as ever to kind of do that. And obviously we've all known that Pep was in the run-ins to come to Man City before he arrived. We all knew that was what we were gearing up to, and now he's come here. Hopefully he's the man that takes us to that top tier.
Well, so I think the other thing for me is just it's the one thing that opposing fans can say about us is that we haven't quite got that trophy yet. So if we can do that and keep them quiet, I'll be a very happy man. If you have just tuned in, welcome to We're Not Really Here. With me, we've got Kyle Walker and Joleon Lescott. We are just under 10 minutes away from kickoff, City versus Newcastle. We're going to get some predictions from you guys in a second. But as with this show, the show is for you, and we love to hear from you, the fans. You can get in touch on socials, and you can also send us videos like this.
Halo, gue Abe dari Jakarta. Di tahun 2010 saat City melawan Stoke di final Piala FA, akhirnya City menang lewat gol semata-matanya Yaya Toure. Kevin De Bruyne karena peran vitalnya di lini tengah Manchester City dan umpan-umpannya yang memanjakan pemain City untuk mencetak gol. Vincent Kompany karena dia sebagai tembok pertahanan Manchester City dan sosok kapten yang disegani oleh para pemain. Eden Hazard saat membela Chelsea karena olah bolanya dan juga sebagai eksekutor bola mati yang kadang suka bikin kata-kata pertahanan Manchester City. Pas City menang lawan MU di Old Trafford dengan skor 1-6. Pas leg kedua UCL lawan Barcelona di Nou Camp, City menang dengan skor 1-3. Jersey playoff Manchester City. City juara UCL. Come on City. Kevin De Bruyne. Prediksi skor 2-0 untuk City.
That is Abe from Jakarta there, giving us an absolutely wonderful catwalk there of some amazing City tops. Catalogue of tops.
He had more changes than Beyonce in that video. I've got to say, Abe, I want to see your full collection, because there were some absolute beauties in there that reminded me of my childhood.
Yeah,
some I didn't even know. Not that I probably would know early shirts for Man City, but there was some I didn't even know existed. Some colour combinations there that don't go
Johnny,
together.
what do you mean? You don't know the club's history inside and out? That's homework for you then between now and the next.
Last
gonna
10
be
years
a
of
test.
good.
Oh,
Last
look,
10
that's my
10 years of
favourite.
good.
This
That
one
was the one?
is
I'm like,
that is
is
my
that a goalkeeper
favourite.
shirt or away shirt?
It's a
I think
beauty
it's
away
away
shirt. Yeah,
isn't it?
away
But
shirt right there.
that Brother Umbro era of
Yeah,
shirts.
I remember that. Because that was Keith
Fire.
Kill era.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
like when I first broke into the team at Wolves, he was the club captain. So like I had to clean his boots and stuff like that. So I know Keith's Kill career.
Oh, unbelievable player. Played in a charity game against him. Still ran the show.
Ridiculous.
To be fair, still ran the
You
show.
did or Keith did?
Well, I did. Second fiddle to me. He came over to me and said, "Well, you're a hell of a player." And I was like, "Cheers, Keith." Not too bad. No,
me and Joleon
purely
played
him.
together once, and we got.
I never
beat.
said that. That wasn't the thing. I never said that to him.
I should point out I was joking. That never got said to me. I just run a lot and make it look like I'm. Do you know what I am? I'm like the opposite to Yaya. So I'll give you everything, but I'm not very effective.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't need them players.
So listen, not too long till kick-off. Predictions. We had 2-0 there from Abe. We went to you first, didn't we, last time? So we're going to go to you, Mr. Walker. What have you got?
Yes, so I'm very confident. As I said, time and time again, we've seen this City team have a lapse in concentration, in performance, whatever it is. It's just not gone our way. We've had a defeat, and the next game we've come out and absolutely, we've just been ruthless. So I think that's what's going to happen tonight. I think Newcastle are in for it a little bit. So I'm going to say 4-0 Manchester City.
4-0, confident, Kyle. I like it, Mr. Lescott.
Yeah, definitely. I'll echo Carl's thoughts there. When lads have not let us down, but not gone to plan, the plan hasn't kind of gone through a win. And the Norwich game is the one I remember. And then the next game was Watford. I think it finished 7-0, something like that. So I'm expecting something similar tonight. Phil Foden's playing as well, so is a guaranteed goal there. He has to score. Does he know not to score? Does he know that you don't have to score every game? Yeah. So I'm expecting him to kind of contribute into a goal. So I'm not going to be as ruthless as Kyle. I want to go for 3-0.
3-0. That's nice. So between Abe and then you two, 2-3-4. I could throw 5-0 on there and then we're covered. So fingers crossed we won't be eating our words come full time. But do come join us. So we'll be back at half time to bring you our half time thoughts. Hopefully we might hear from Cheeky, and then at full time we'll be able to reflect on the game, which will hopefully bring us one of those results that the boys have predicted. Keep getting in touch on socials and we'll see you at half time. Enjoy the game.